unitard, and it's beautiful. I'll show it on the aerial silk. The only problem is it's not as stretchy as I really would have wanted. And honestly, the pants part, I wish it was more flexible and stretchy when I'm doing the splits and stuff like that. But it's beautiful. It came out so pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo this one. And what I'm going to do is use the spandex for the pants. This is actually inside out because I'm going to be putting the top and the pants together. But this is spandex, which I'd rather use the spandex. Any of the material that I've used, the spandex, I never have any issues with. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have velvet on the top over the tan mesh. I'm going to have tan mesh on the back. It's going to be beautiful, really, really beautiful. And what I'm going to do is I'm using the Jolly 3240. So I'm going to have the velvet over the tan mesh in the front, and I'm actually going to, I think I'm going to keep it just the tan in the back. And what I'm going to do is I just got this from Walmart. It's just a little tank shirt. It's tan, and I just cut it off on the bottom. And then from Amazon, I got these tights that are tan that can go under it. It kind of pulls your stomach in and everything. So I think it's going to be really pretty. So let's get started. First thing you want to do is cut out your pattern, which I already have it cut out. I'm actually pinning the corsage. There's a little part on the bottom that's on the fold line. So you want to make sure your material's folded over and you put it on the fold line, and I'm pinning it up, getting it ready to cut. And after I'm done pinning this one, I'm going to pull over. It's called the corsage, which is your front shirt, your front top. And I'm going to actually put that on the fold line as well. So it's folded over, and you want that cut on the fold line. This is your top, the back of the applique, and I'm pinning it, getting it ready to cut. And I'm also pinning the back, which is just 2 cut pieces. So you want to make sure you have the fabric folded over, but it's not on a fold line. So the back is not on a fold line. You're going to actually be sewing those 2 pieces together. So I'm just pinning it, getting it ready to cut. Now I'm cutting out it's called an applique. I'm cutting it out in the velvet. That's going to be the front piece. And at the bottom there's a little bit of a fold line, so you want to make sure to have your material folded over and have it on the fold line. And this is actually a really pretty part of the unitard. Now I'm bringing over my mesh, and this is the corsage, the top part that's going to be under the blue velvet, and I'm cutting it out, and that is on the fold line. This is the front piece. And once I've cut out the front piece on the fold line, I'm going to move it out of the way, and then I cut 2 pieces of the back, which is in the mesh. I'm actually not putting, you can put the blue velvet on the back, but on this one I'm not putting any blue velvet on it. I'm going to be actually wearing a half spaghetti strap tan a top. So I'm just cutting out the 2 pieces and getting it ready to sew. Now I'm unfolding the tan mesh top, and I'm putting the blue velvet applique on top of it and going to pin it together so that I can sew a single stitch all the way around the royal blue area, so that I sew the royal blue velvet onto the tan meshing. You have to do that first before you sew it to the other pieces. Now I'm going to sew the blue velvet onto the tan meshing, and I'm just going along the outside line of the blue velvet, and I'll also be going in the little middle circle, just sewing a single stitch all the way around to make sure that the blue velvet is completely attached to the tan meshing. And one thing I forgot to show was just sewing the back shirt piece, and it's just sewing a a stitch down the back. It's two pieces, so you just got to make sure that they come together to make a top. Okay, so after I've sewed the front, I've actually already pinned the front of the top to the back of the top. You want to make sure the wrong side is facing out and the right side is facing both inward on both the front and the back. And now I'm just sewing all along down the sides of the top, making sure that the front and back are sewn together. Now I am pinning the top, since I went down the sides, sewing the sides, I'm pinning the top to the pants. You want to make sure the wrong sides of the pants are facing outward and the wrong side of the top is facing outward, and you want to pin it together so that you can sew all the way around. And I would suggest a zigzag stitch, maybe sew it 2 to 3 times to make sure there's no holes and that it's strong. Okay, now that we have the top pinned to the pants, we want to sew it, and there's more details in my video, the Blue Velvet Part 1. If there's some things that I'm missing here and you're wondering what to do, if you go actually to my Unitard Creating and Rhinestoning a Unitard costume, Part 1 with the blue velvet, it has more details in that video that might help you, but here we go. Now that the unitard is sewed, these are the gems. That's the dollar store trim, and that's the E6000 jewelry and bead glue that I use. These are the different beads, gems that I use from Hobby Lobby. So after I've created the unitard, I actually make a pattern with all my gems to see what I like before I glue them. Then I put the glue in a little bowl, and I have a toothpick to put on the glue on and to also put onto the beads, so then I can put it onto my unitard. And I'm liking how this pattern is coming out. I forgot to put, I use a cardboard stock of paper in between so that the gems don't glue to the back side, and I'd forgot to put it in, so I'm putting it in now. You want to actually do this first before you start gluing so that they don't glue together. It really does help when you're gluing your gems. Okay, I finished gluing the gems on the top part of the applique, the royal blue velvet, and I did a double layer around the sides, as you can see, where it's touching the mesh, and also around the middle. And now I'm putting it on where the top touches the pants, and I decided I was going to do a double layer of rhinestone gems instead of the dollar store trim. It just makes it more stretchy. I mean, you can do either one. This one is a lot more stretchy if you just, kind of have a little space in between the gems and have a double layer. Now that I've glued the gems, the rhinestones on the top, the applique, I'm going to actually put it on the tan mesh area. It just looks really pretty when you have rhinestones. It kind of looks like it's on your flesh. I'm going to be putting it in the middle. I'm going to be putting it on the sides, on the top area, and I like to have a random look when I'm putting it on the mesh. It just looks really, really pretty. I'm just finishing up on the tan mesh with the random look on the sides. I'm just gluing different places randomly. It just looks really beautiful on the tan mesh when you actually put it on at the end. Now that all the rhinestones are they're dried on the front side, I turn it around and I put my cardboard paper in between so that it doesn't stick to the other side. And I'm going to just do a random creation on the tan mesh of the back. I really like just a random look on the tan meshing. So I'm finishing it up on the back and it's coming out really beautiful. Now that all the rhinestones have dried, I'm going to actually hem the bottom of the pants. And you're just going to do maybe an inch to half an inch on the bottom. And I'm just going to hem it around. And that is going to finish up this beautiful royal blue unitard. Well, here is the unitard. Here's the top, and I actually did a different top than the last video, and this is the blue velvet on the top with the spandex on the bottom. I'm loving it. Gorgeous. You break my chains. You overcome. You gave your life to give me mine. You say that I am free. How can it be? How can it be? I've been hiding, afraid I've let you down. Inside I doubt.